Did you know that there are 21 irrefutable laws of leadership? Hey, everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is your leadership coach, Clastine, with another message that could take your leadership to the next level. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about John Maxwell's 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Let's dive in. I got my notes with me that we're going to have some fun today because this is one of my favorite topics. Leadership is my favorite topic. If you've been watching my channel, you know this stuff turns me on. And this is my favorite book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you are a leader and you're starting out, especially my aspiring new leaders that's just got into management, supervisory role, you need this. You need to hear this. These laws are indispensable. If you understand these laws, these 21 laws, today I am going to be going through chapter 1, the law of the lid. If you pay attention to these laws, if you get the book so you can watch this video over and over and over and over with me, so you can get more ideas, because what you're reading and what you're getting out of the book is different from what I'm getting. It's a little bit different from what I'm getting out of the book, and I would love to hear what the differences, the deltas. So just write them down in a comment of this video and I'll get back to you. And if you have any questions, just write them down in the comments and I will answer them. And let's share notes. Let's compare notes, man. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Chapter 1 is the law of the lid. I love this law, and it could seem kind of complicated, but it's simple. It's simple. It's simple. Just stay with me. This is a short chapter. We're going to be going through this as fast as possible. So just stay with me and let's ride. Let's do this. The law number 1 is the law of the lid. John Maxwell defines the law of the lid by saying leadership ability is always the lid on personal and organizational effectiveness. If a person's leadership is strong, these are key words now, the organizational's lid is high. But if it's not, the organization is limited. That's why in times of trouble, organizations naturally look for new leadership. And I'm gonna skip down here in my notes to some things that I have here below. The good news is the law of the lid has room for growth and development. I want you to do me a favor. In a comment section below, I want you to type in growth and development, because I want to get these things in your subconscious. So I want you to interact with me. I don't want this to just be me talking to you or talking into a camera. I want us to have some interaction. Even if you're watching this during the replay, put in the comment section growth and development. Growth and development. Now, let's go dive in. We're going to be diving into each section. These sections are juicy. They got a lot of meat in them. And I want to just really help you get into this. Section number 1. And you can follow me through the book. This is page 1 in the book. The law of the lid, leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. You got to stay with me on this because it's kind of tricky, because some of the words he's using the words interchangeably, and so you got to get it. And I know a lot of people have told me, hey, you know what? I don't get it. What does he mean? I'm going to explain what he means. Let's go on. So this section is the leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. The law of the lid helps people to understand the value of leadership. The law of the lid helps people to understand the value of leadership. Leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. The leadership of ability. I want you to think about it like this. Let's suppose you have this jar, right? And this is the lid. This is the lid, right? This is the lid of leadership, right? And we're capping, and let's say this jar is like 5. Let's say this is like 10 inches long. Let's just say this is 10, and let's just say this equals 10. This equals a full liter, right? Now, even though this lid right here is the leader's effectiveness, and this is a 10, so the leader's effectiveness is at a 10, right? And so the leadership's lid of effectiveness is at a 10. Remember that. The leadership's lid, and I'm repeating this for a reason because it confused the hell out of me. So if we have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the lid, this black lid is a 10. So that's the leadership level. That's the leader's lid of effectiveness. This is how how effective the leader is. This is how much influence they have. This is their ability to lead. They're at a 10. This is that lid. Remember this lid. Now let's go on. The lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid of potential. The lower the leader's ability to lead, the lower is the lid. That's, for example, here's the lid. It was at a 10. Now we're going to lower it. We're going to put it halfway. This leadership's lid is at a 5 now. Let's just hypothetically speaking, it's at a 5. This leadership's lid is now at a 5. That's their level of effectiveness, right? Remember, we went from a 10. Now we're at halfway. So now their level of effectiveness is 5. This is all going to make sense soon. You might have to watch this a couple of times, but just remember, now we're at a 5. Now, the higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher the lid on his potential. The higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher the lid is on his or her potential, right? That's clear. Higher lid, more effective leader. Lower the lid, and here's the genius about calling it the lid, because I was wondering, why did he call it a lid? Because there's a cap on how effective a leader is in an organization, in a family, in a community. There's like this invisible glass wall that no one can penetrate if the leader is the one over that organization, over that family, over that community. That's why he calls it a lid, because it's a barrier to everyone, including the leader himself or herself. And let me explain. Let's go to the example. This is good stuff. Example: if the leader is if a leader's lid is at an 8, right? If the leader's lid is at, you're gonna love this. If the leader's lid is at an 8, let's say they're at level 8, those who are following the leader can never go higher than a 7. You got it? If the leader's lid of effectiveness, his leadership, his effectiveness, his ability to lead, her ability to, command the team is at an 8, everyone else that's following her cannot go, their leadership effectiveness cannot, their performances cannot go higher than a 7. Isn't that crazy? Some people disagree with this. I've read where some leadership authorities, they're like, no, that's not true. But I've seen it to be true. I've experienced it. I've worked for the government in the FBI and managing a big team of people. Man, it's like more like, managing departments. And I've seen that even in my leadership, as far as my VPs, my clients, I've seen it. And this is true. When the leader is off, the whole team is off. The whole department is off. I don't know why it works like that, but attitude does reflect leadership. I can tell you that from experience, and you will experience that too if you haven't already. If you have experienced that, put in the comments, put 100, and I'll know that you have experienced it and you've seen the same thing. Now, let's say that a leader rates a 4 as at level 4. Then the level of effectiveness for everyone that's following that leader that's at a 4. Remember, now we're at a 4. The lid is at a 4. This is the level of effectiveness for the leader. Now, the effectiveness of everyone else that's following him or her cannot be more than a 3. So everyone is always following the leader, right? If the leader's if the leader's up there at a 9 or a 10, let's say that at an 8, everybody else is at a 7. If the leader is down here at a 5 or a 4, let's say a 4, just to say of what I said last time, just to stay in the context of what I said last time. If the leader's at a 4, they cannot be no higher. Those who are following, effectiveness cannot be no higher than a 3. Crazy law. But this is what John Maxwell is teaching us. This is the law of the lid. The main point of this is that your leadership ability, for better or for worse, always determines your effectiveness and potential impact on your organization. And I want to add on your family, on your community, on your friends, whomever you're leading. It has an impact, your level of effectiveness as a leader. Now, let's go to part 2 in this book, a new opportunity. Some people might want to skip over this section because, a new opportunity is, we're talking about the McDonald brothers and how they left their little hometown, to go and open a restaurant in Pasadena, California. And you might pass over this and you might say, hey, you know what, that doesn't really mean anything. Yes, but it does. It does. It has some very key points that I want us to focus on in this chapter. Okay, so first in 1937, the two brothers, Dick and Maurice, they opened up a small drive-in restaurant in Pasadena, located just east of Glendale, right? The drive-in restaurant was a phenomenon in the 30s. And they were like, you know what? We're going to the drive-in. We're going into the drive-in business because this is where the money's at. And so by the time the 1940s rolled around, their drive-in business was such a success because these guys were businessmen. They were managers. They understood processes and how to manage and procedures and systems. That's a very important point. This is what this section is trying to teach you, right? It's teaching you about good managers. Remember that. Now, so in 1948, their intuition told them that it was time for a change. So they eliminated the car hops and started serving walk-up customers. So at this time, everybody in the late 1930s, early 1930s to late 1930s, everyone was doing the drive-in thing where they had the little trays where they put on your window, and they were even serving people with, you know, glassware and plates and silver spoons and fork at that time. And so they kind of looked into the future and say, hey, you know what? The society is changing. They're changing. They want to walk up to the restaurant. They want to eat in. They want to sit down. Oh, and so they were like, okay, let's eliminate the car hops. And so this is where it started, you know, to the walk-up customers in 1948. And then they also reduced their menus. They used to sell hot dogs and all other stuff, but then they changed the menu. They simplified the menu, so they went for hamburgers, milkshake, and fries. Those were the key foods that they started selling. And then they switched all of their utensils to paper and plastic instead of glassware and metal. And even in that time, these people were such geniuses that they were like, you know what, people hate to wait. And so they made this, so they created this concept that was called the Speedy service system, which everyone, when they started to hear about this stuff, everyone in different states were, you know, trying to, you know, call these guys, get in contact with them, and, you know, visiting the store, and was like, here, you know, teach us this method, and because it was working so well. The main point of this section is that Dick and Maurice McDonald had hit the American jackpot, but there's more to the story. And remember this: pivot, vision, intuition, and management. Pivot, vision, intuition, and management. These guys had all four of these qualities. They knew when it was time to pivot. They had the vision. It was on lock. They used their intuition when they felt that society was going in a certain way. They immediately jumped on it. Management, they knew how to manage people. They knew how to manage systems and processes. Very important section in this book. Now, let's go to section 3, the story behind the story. This is where this gets exciting. Listen to this. John Maxwell said the McDonald brothers Genius was in customer service and kitchen organization. That's true, right? We're still experiencing that today in 2021. They received many of 300 calls and letters every month from people trying to figure out, or people wanting to know what was in the secret sauce of this. Then we talked about the Speedy service system. They wanted to know about that system. How were they managing so well? How were they? I think at this time they were probably making $100,000 a year and bringing home. That's in revenue, and bringing home more than $50,000 in profit at that time. And then they got a great idea, right? This is where the intuition part came in this part, the story behind the story. And that is on page 3. So they were like, hey, you know what? We're managing these single restaurants. What if we franchise this restaurant out and let other people manage it and we take a cut? Now, franchising was already out there. This wasn't a new concept. They just was like, jumping on the bandwagon per se, right? So in 1952, they franchised out the business, right? But guess what? That same year, it was a disaster. It was a total disaster, and we're coming to know. We're coming to the reason why. And I skipped over a little bit and stole this from a previous the following section, but it applies here in this section. They sold the franchise idea only 15. They had 15 buyers, and only 10 people actually opened the restaurant. Now remember those numbers. They had 15 buyers, and they were only able to assist 10 people in opening a restaurant, right? The reason for the failure was simple. They lacked leadership. They lacked leadership. Remember, your level of effectiveness determines the lid of your leadership. Always remember that. Your lid is the level of your effectiveness. So we can determine that their lid was low, right? Their leadership lid was low. And here's how we prove, or here's how John Maxwell is proving his point. Let's say their leadership was at a 4, and that's below average. If their leadership lid was at a 4, their franchisees, those who bought the business from them or franchised the business from them, can only be at a 3, right? It would have been hard for them to succeed, because these people are supposed to be helping you run the business. These people, the leader with the lid at a 4 is supposed to be helping you build your business. And if that leader is not an effective leader, they cannot help you build your business. And that's exactly what happened, right? So the main point of this section is that managers can run a single business. They can run a single restaurant. Simple. They can create efficient systems. They can cut costs. They can increase profits for one restaurant. Just for one. Now, I don't want to give the whole book away. Let's go on. This is so good. Let's go to section 4. Now, here comes Ray Kroc. All right. The brothers partner with a leader. This is section 4 on page 4. Wow. Now, in 1954, the brothers hook up with Ray Kroc. And we all know what happened when, and if you have not watched the movie, the founder, put down there, put in the comment section, the founder with Michael Keaton. Watch that movie. It is a very educational movie. It is a movie that all leaders need to have watched at least once, because I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spoil it. You just got to watch this movie. Now, Ray Kroc he was already running a milkshake company of a few hundred people. I mean, this was a leader. This was like this was like I'm thinking about the movie. I'm thinking about how he came in and just took over, right? And he just went in. He went into McDonald's one day because he used to service their milkshake machines, and he was like, "Wow, this business has potential." And he just went in there and he just, okay, I'm not going to give it to you. No, let me just wait. Let's just wait. So let's just put it this way. Between 1955 and 1959, Ray Kroc, right? 4 years, just 4 years. Now, remember we talked about how the McDonald brothers tried to sell their franchisee? There was like their franchises. They only got like 10 out of 15 people. In 4 years, Ray Kroc opened 100 new restaurants successfully. 100 out of 100 franchisee was operating their restaurants. Put in the comment section 100. 100. In another 4 years, 4 years later, 500. Ray Kroc opened 500 restaurants successfully. 500. Put in the comment section 500 restaurants. Write that in the comment section. 500. And today, in the book, it has like 38,000 McDonald's restaurants open in 119 countries, right? No, the book says 31,000, but in reality, today, I think it's 38,000. The last time I checked, you can correct me if I'm wrong, just put in the comment section, but it's 38,000 restaurants in 119 countries. And that was due to Ray Kroc's vision and his leadership. His leadership lid was at that 10. He was at that 10 level. He was at that 10. All right. The main point of this section, section 4, the brothers partner with the leader. The main point was the lid in the life and leadership of Ray Kroc was obviously much higher than the McDonald brothers. All right. Let's go to section 5. We're almost done. Almost done. Well, this isn't really section 5, but I wanted to like break this section down to give you Ray Kroc's six success secrets. Man, that's a tongue twister. Ray Kroc's 6 success secrets. Secret number one, write this down. Vision. Ray Kroc had the vision. He first visited the restaurant and he could see the restaurant going nationwide. He took one look at that restaurant. He was like, hey, there's a gold mine here. He had vision. As a leader, you must have a vision for where your organization is going, where your family is going, where your team is going. You must have a vision, right? That vision is like it's like the roadmap that everyone has to buy into, so we can all get there together. So, you know, you need that vision as a leader. If you don't understand how to cast a vision, you are going to have a hard time leading people, because people follow leaders with vision. Number 2, action. 1955, McDonald's system was born. He took action. He incorporated McDonald's. Ray Kroc. He was like, hey, let's partner up. Hey, let's get this thing incorporated. Number 3, Ray Kroc took a risk. Oh, before I forget, write down in the comment section, action. Number 2, step 2, action. Step 3, risk. Step 3, risk. He bought the rights to the franchise. He bought the rights to one franchise to use as a model. Isn't that genius? He was like, you know what? I want to understand how all the systems work. I want to understand if I put some very capable leaders in here. I mean, as a franchisee, if I sell this to a leader and put them in here and they start working this process and everything, I want to make this person, this test person, very successful, and I'm going to make this my model. And everyone is going to come here to this restaurant. And this restaurant right here is going to be the model for everyone. I'm going to make this the template. Wasn't that cool? He was developing leaders, y'all. He was developing leaders. That's what we do as leaders. We develop other leaders. That's what we do. We copy ourselves. We clone ourselves. So we don't have to be there doing all the day-to-day stuff and everything. We don't have to be there leading everything because we clone ourselves. We're good. Number 4, and I probably already said this, but number 4 is team. He developed a team. He assembled a team to help him take McDonald's nationwide, because he understood that he could not do it himself. He had to have a team of people that understood marketing, people that understood real estate, people that understood customer service, people that understood processes and procedures, managers. He had to have a team around him. People that understood customer management, community management. He had to have a team around him. And you know what? Remember we talked about the McDonald brothers, Dick and Maurice? when they tried to open up that franchise, right? I think it was in 1952. They did not, I repeat, they did not try and develop a team. They tried to do it within their little silo, within the two of them, trying to put their heads together and saying, we can do this. That's where leaders fail. That's where some leaders fail because their lid is so low, they don't trust anyone. They want to keep their baby to themselves. They want to hide, hide the secret sauce because it might get out and people might start, creating their own McDonald's. I don't know if this was real, but they had they weren't effective leaders, but they were great managers. They were great. I could envision people loving to work for them. I can envision them, treating their customers right and treating their employees right. I can envision them doing all the right things. But when it came down to growing a business and developing leaders, that was the Achilles heel. Now, leadership secret number 5, Ray Kroc's leadership secret number 5, the leadership development. Put down there, leadership, put in the comment section, leadership development, because I want you to start learning in this channel to type in things because I want you to remember it. I want you to, type this in so you can remember that you might not remember all 6 secrets, but I want you to remember that there were secrets. Leadership development. Hire the best leaders who were willing to develop their recruits. He didn't hire selfish people, selfish leaders. He hired leaders that understood that there was so much benefit in developing other leaders. He hired people that knew the value of cloning themselves. That's the kind of leaders he hired. Now, number 6, secret number 6. Oh man, and you guys are going to love this one. Sacrifice. Put in the comment section, sacrifice. Sacrifice. Ray Kroc worked long hours. He even eliminated his country club. He got all the frills out of his life because he stopped taking a salary to build his dream. And the other reason, the main reason why he stopped taking a salary is because he wanted to pay his top leaders correctly. He wanted to get them straight while he built the business. That's a leader. I want my people to be good. I want my people to love working here. I know they have families. I know they got to be taken care of. Let me take care of my people. Let me serve them. And in return, I know I'm going to get the benefits later. It may not be today. I may have to, delay some gratification, but it's okay. As long as they're good, as long as they're happy, as long as they're producing, I'm good. So those are the 6 Ray Kroc success secrets. Got to get them down. Vision, action, risk, team, leadership development, and sacrifice. I summed it up for you in the book. You probably didn't even see it when you read that chapter, but I just summed it up for you. Now here's success without leadership. Success without leadership. That's on page 5. And I think this is section 5. John Maxwell said, I love this quote. He says, I believe that success is within the reach of just about everyone. But I also believe that personal success without leadership ability brings only limited effectiveness. Let me read that to you again. I believe that success is within the reach of just about everyone. But I also believe that personal success without leadership ability only brings limited effectiveness. And I know this to be true. Without leadership ability, a person's impact is only a fraction of what it could be. I sincerely believe that. I've seen it in my own life and I've seen it in others' life. If you are not a great leader, or if you're not striving to be a great leader, your success can only go so far. Because let me explain to you this. This is very important. This section is very important. Your ability to lead starts with your ability to lead yourself first. Your goal should be being a 10 as far as your lid at leading yourself. My goal is to be a 10 of leading Glassstein, myself. That's my goal. Because if I'm a 10 in leading Glassstein, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to crush it. I may be an 8 of leading people because I have room for growth, but I will never be down there at a 4 or a 3 or a 2. No, that's impossible. That's not possible. When you experience leaders that in your mind that they're a lower level leader, they're probably at a 4 or an average leader, that usually comes from the fact that they have not learned to lead themselves. They are not on the personal growth program. They are not in continuous learning. They're not going to the seminars. They're not listening to the podcast. They're not constantly immerse themselves into learning about who they are. They're not asking themselves the right questions. They are not immersed in this thing. I'm immersed in this thing. You know, success has a strong connection to leadership, because a successful person understands how to lead themselves, how to discipline themselves, how to tell themselves that I am going to do something and they are going to do it. That's why John Maxwell talks about the close link between success and leadership. Very close link. I think they are so connected. It's hard to have one without the other, because if you are successful without leadership, usually you don't stay up there long. Usually you don't keep it for too long. You don't keep the material things. Usually there were some nefarious practices to get you up there, or there was some shortcuts. Usually people take shortcuts. Leaders, we don't take shortcuts. We go through processes and we enjoy the process. Enjoy the process, leaders. Enjoy the process. The higher you want to climb, he says, and he's talking about the corporate ladder, personal success, community. The higher you want to climb in your community, your church, your synagogue, your mosque. I mean, the higher you want to climb into those higher echelons, the more you need leadership. because in climbing that ladder, whatever that is for you, there's going to be people around you. Just look at your family structure. All right? Your family. You're the leader. They're looking up to you to make the right decision, to ask the right questions, to lead the way, to open the doors, to show us the vision. Right? For greater impact, he said, you need greater influence as a leader. You want to have greater impact on people? You want to influence people and win friends? You want to win friends and influence people? Like Dale Carnegie says, you need to be a great leader. Leadership is the way. Leadership is the way. Now, he explains this in the chart. The chart is on page 6. Right? This is good stuff. The chart is on page 6. The chart is called Success Without Leadership Chart. Right? That's the first chart. Success Without Leadership Chart. And it talks about, to increase your level of effectiveness, you have a couple of choices, right? It talks about if you want to become successful without growing your leadership, you can at a certain point. And let's say your success rate is at an 8, right? Let's look at the horizontal line below, the x-axis, right? If you want to, let's say you're at an 8 as far as success goes, and you want to grow that to a 9 or a 10. The law of diminishing returns say that it's going to take you a lot more effort for you to get to that 9 to 10 than it took for you to get to that 8, right? And he also said that he states that he said that you could work hard to increase your dedication to success and excellence to work towards the 10. You can work hard, right? And it might just increase your level of success by 25%. Right? And this is by just working your tail off. But he also talked about the second way. He said that you could work hard to increase your level of leadership. And this is the way that he's promoting. If your leadership ability is at a 4, if your success rate is at a 8 on the x-axis, and it's at a 4 on the y-axis, right? Your level of effectiveness is already at 300%. And where did he get this 300%? He's just going by the 1, 2, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. If your leadership is at a 4, at the lid is at a 4, the level of effectiveness that you're having with your organization, your team, your family. Remember, we said that it's at a 3, and he's just saying that it's at a 3. It's at 300%. You're operating at 300%. That's how effective you are. Where when you were at an 8 and you were right down here at a 1, trying to just grow the level of success, trying to make it into a 10, you were just, your level of effectiveness was real low, right? It was probably at that 1% because you're so focused on self, like Dick and Maurice. You're so focused on managing that you're blind towards leading and developing leaders. He goes on to say, let's say your leadership ability was at a 7. You already increased your level of effectiveness 600%. Why is that, Glassine? Why such big numbers when you upgrade your leadership ability? Simple. Because you are not doing things by yourself. You are not making it by you are not creating things by yourself. There's this old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, you go with a team. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, and I'm paraphrasing, and if you want to go further, go with a team. Anytime you're trying to build something big, you're trying to build an organization, you're trying to build a community, you're trying to build something where people are involved, whether that's clients, customers, whatever. Your leadership game needs to be on point. Remember Ray Kroc? He came in. The first thing that he did to build McDonald's was to get a team in place to help him build. All he did was cast the vision. That's all he did was cast the vision. He didn't do anything that the McDonald brothers couldn't do. But they didn't have the leadership. They weren't educating themselves as leaders. They was educating themselves as managers. They were good with the little restaurant that they had. They were okay with that. They were good with the little people that they had, what they was managing. They were good with that. Ray Kroc came in, was like, hey, this is a $1 billion corporation here. And I'm going to take Ray Kroc was listening to those tapes. If you look at some of his biographies or what people have written about him, he listened to those audio tapes, those self-development audio tapes. He was already building a $1 million company. So, this was a leader. I love this. And John Maxwell explains it so well with just a few words. He said, leadership has a multiplying effect. Isn't that cool? Leadership has a multiplying effect. Now, section 6, this is the last section. This was the last section. It's called to change the direction of the organization, change the leader. That's scary. That's scary because if you're the leader in the organization isn't doing well, guess who's responsible? Not the people under you, not your vendors, not your customers. You are. I love this. He says that leadership is always the lid on personal and organizational effectiveness, meaning that your ability to lead determines how effective the organization is and how effective you are as a leader. So your ability to lead not only affects your success, but it affects everyone in your circle of influence. If a person's leadership is strong, the organization lid is high. We determine that, right? With this. 10. Leadership effectiveness, ability to lead at a 10. But if a person's leadership is weak, let's say it's at a 4 or 5, the effectiveness is lower, right? If a person's at a 10, their level of effectiveness as far as their organization or the people is at a 9. It will be, if the person's at a 10, leader, level of effectiveness at a 9. If they're at an 8, their level of effectiveness in the organization as a leader is a 7, right? If they're at a 4, their level of effectiveness is at a 3. If they're at a 2, level of effectiveness is at a 1. I'm sure you get it. If you got that in the comment section, put I got that. I got it. I got it, Glassstein. I got it. Put I got it with exclamation marks with 3 of them. 3 of them. All right. So, hence, the reason why in times of trouble, organizations look for new leadership, because everything is tied to leadership. John Maxwell has a quote that says, everything rises and falls on leadership. That is such a true statement. If a country is experiencing hard times, what do? We elect a new president. If a company is losing money, what do? We change the CEO. If a church is struggling, what do? We appoint a new senior pastor. If a team keeps losing, what do? Absolutely. We're getting a new coach, right? That's the importance of leadership. The law of the lid teaches you how important your leadership lid is, how important it is to be an effective leader. It is so important to understand that leadership, everything rises and falls with leadership. The success of your family, the success of your team, your success of your organization, your business, entrepreneurs out there. Your success is determined by your ability to lead. Leadership is very, very important. That's why the law of the lid, always remember it. It is so important. The good news is that I don't want you to leave here with the sense that when an organization is failing, the only possibility is to get rid of the leader because the leader didn't do his job, the leader's not effective. No, like everyone, a leader is developing. Like you, me, we're developing. We can get better. We can put our heads down and have an executive, grab an executive coach and start learning, grab some books, some podcasts, go to some seminars and start growing ourselves as leaders. So the answer is not just all the time, 100% of the time, to get rid of the leader. But the answer is this, that we have to get to the point where we start seeing ourselves as the leader, that we're responsible to leading ourselves first, to growing ourselves, to hitting those books, to understanding our responsibility as a leader, understanding that the buck stops here. So we can be as effective as possible, so we can have as much influence and impact on our families, on our organizations, on our businesses, in our community, in our churches, and you know, just so we just can have that impact, so we can have that influence. You know, I just love this, and this is the end. And if you enjoyed this, go ahead and put enjoy in the comment section. Put enjoy. Just write down enjoy so I can know that you enjoy this. I want to do this every week. Um, if it's something that you want to see, just go ahead and put enjoy. I want to see this every week, or I can do, just go ahead and comment section. And my notes, if you want my notes, I will have my email in the description. Email me to request these notes. Email me. Do not put it in the comments. Do not request it in the comments. Email me, and I will send you my notes. These are some good notes, and I would love for you to have them and to give me some feedback. And I would love to hear your takeaways on it on this. And hey, you know what? Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like this video and to share it with friends and family. And I want you guys to go out there, continue to be great leaders. Good night. I am out of here. Peace.